Hi, seventh graders. Welcome back to Thursday. Well, when you're watching this video, it should be Thursday, April 30th. I'm actually a week ahead of time, so you see all my streamers and everything. That's because it's my kid's birthday today and we're celebrating. So, in order to celebrate in quarantine, you have to decorate the house. So, we've got balloons and streamers and all sorts of fun stuff. Anyways, our plan today is to talk about misleading graphs and statistics. And this is something very relevant in what we're dealing with. We see all these different graphs and statistics about COVID-19 and everything else, and sometimes it can be kind of misleading. So being aware of what's misleading and what's not is very important for us. So let's start going through this. We are going to start by looking at top reasons that a graph can be misleading. Okay, so there are a number of reasons that a graph can be misleading, but here are some of the top reasons. Number one, the scale on the axis starts at something other than 0, so you're going to see like a break in the graph, and I will show you these things. The intervals are not spaced out equally. Maybe they start off counting by 5, and then they go by 10, and then by 1. So it all needs to be spaced out evenly. The circle graph doesn't add up to 100%, which seems ridiculous, but sometimes companies do that. There might be pictures that are distorting the data, and maybe the title is really misleading. So let's take a look at some of these. So our job is to explain why they are misleading. Okay, so in this graph, if I was going to tell why this is misleading, I would say the pictures.
The bot has a scar.
Oops, I can't spell. Distort the data. Okay, so because of these apples and the size of the apples, it ends up making the data look different. So the pictures would be the main reason for the misleading graph. Okay, here's the next one. There are a couple of reasons on this one why it is misleading. So one of the reasons is that the intervals are not all represented. The years are not all represented. Okay, you can't leave off some years. It goes 1980, 1981, 1990, 1991, and we're skipping years in there. Okay, another reason is the y-axis, does not start at 0. Okay, now the reason that's important is because it's starting at $3 instead of at $0. And if it were to start at $0, our graph would look very, very different. Okay, that would mean we'd have these bars that probably go down this far. Okay, so this one would go all the way down to here.
I got a hand cannon.
And this one would go all the way down to here, and so on. And notice, if the bars are that big, they don't look like there's quite as big of a difference between the first one and the last one. The last bar then only looks, a little less than double the size of the first one instead of like quadruple the size. Now, maybe you'd ask yourself, why would companies do this? Okay, they would probably do this because they want people to believe that wages have been increasing drastically over the last so many years, but really it hasn't gone up that much. Okay, here's another graph. Ticket prices for a baseball game and a basketball game. A couple misleading things about this. First of all, when you use pictures, okay, so we're going to say that the pictures distort the data. Okay. Also, you're looking at a basketball game compared to a baseball game. If anybody thinks about that a little bit, there are a lot more baseball games in a season than basketball games. So to compare the ticket prices from one to the other is a little bit unrealistic. Okay. Yes, prices have gone up, but this big, huge basketball makes it look like that's way more expensive. Okay. Here's a graph showing interest rates, and they're trying to show that interest rates have drastically went up from 2008 to 2012. And that's only because of the labels on the y-axis. Really, it's only gone from 3.14% to 3.152. That's a very minimal, very, very minimal change. But the way they have this labeled, it looks like a lot. In reality, the graph should look like this if it started at 0 instead, and you would see that there's not much of a change at all. Okay, here's one where the title of this graph is very misleading. Okay, the title is misleading because it says massive house price increase. The y-axis does not start at 0, okay? So it's making you believe that there was a big jump in house prices, but the reality of it is it was only a $2,000 jump, and for a house, that's not much. Here's how the graph should have looked, okay, if we started at 0 and then labeled going up. Okay, here's one where the axis is slanted. And that can make the graph look misleading. Now, sometimes they do that to make the graph look prettier. Graphs aren't supposed to be pretty. They're supposed to be boring and just very plain. So with that slanted axis, that's a problem. Also, we're missing some labels. We don't know what this goes up to. The y-axis is not labeled. If this was drawn without this slanted axis, it would look like this. And then you will notice that this purple one and the red bar are actually the same height. Okay. Here's some other ones that I found online. Here's a circle graph where these do not add up to 100%. So that is misleading. Also look at the source. The source is opinions. Just by opinions is not really a valuable source. Okay, federal welfare received in the US. Here's a nice graph, all very accurate data, but it's misleading because it starts at 94 million instead of starting at 0. Okay. Then we're going to talk about statistics and why they might be misleading. We might not use a random sample. Okay, the sample size might be too small, or a measure of central tendency is used that doesn't give an accurate picture. So when I say a random sample wasn't being used, that's like asking somebody their favorite sport as they're coming out of a baseball game. Okay, they might be there because that's their favorite sport. If I want to have a survey about people's favorite sports, I should go to a park and ask random people as they walk past, what's your favorite sport? Not at a baseball game or a basketball game or anything like that. Okay. So here's just a statistic. Shopping at Save-A-Lot can save you up to $100 a month. Now, the misleading part of this is that it says you could save up to $100 a month. It does not mean that you're going to save $100 a month. You might only save $1. Okay. Coburn's used to do this with their penny pincher ads. You could save up to $383 or something like that. But that's if you used every single coupon and the max amount on every coupon. So you might not actually save $100 a month. You might only save $1. Here's one. A small business has 5 employees with the following salaries. The owner makes $90,000. The employees make $18,000, $22,000, $20,000, and $23,000. And the owner places an ad that reads help wanted, average salary $34,600. Okay, the problem here is they use the average. Okay, and that gives us not a very good picture because of this owner. The owner is what we call an outlier. And so his salary doesn't really count because he's the owner. He should make more. If we wanted to report this more accurately, we should have said the median salary instead of the average. Okay. This one, the total profit at Target for a 3-month period from June to September was $2 million. The total profit for Walmart for a 3-month period from October to January was $5 million. Okay, this statistic is making it seem like Walmart makes bigger profits. But the part we need to really be careful of is the time period. Okay, June to September, I don't know, there's not a whole lot happening in there except for back to school shopping. But from October to January, there's some big things happening, right? Christmas falls in that time, Black Friday shopping. So I think any store is going to have greater profits from October to January than from June to September. So if we're going to compare companies, we need to be looking at the same exact time period. Okay. So hopefully that was a little brief overview of misleading graphs and statistics. What I want you to do now is go onto Canvas and complete the homework assignment that is listed. It's a very short quiz. It shouldn't take you real long. Do your very best and submit that to me so I can grade it. Have a great day, guys.